lucky students. My name is Priyanka Gupta. I am working as Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering Data Science Department at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So today I am going to discuss about the topic Introduction to Natural Language Processing. So topics I am going to cover today. In Introduction of Natural Language Processing, I am going to tell about what is the proper definition of this. What are the different fields will be just used for those, that is as an interdisciplinary field. Different examples of NLP, where it will be used. What are the applications where it is actually going to be widely used. What are the benefits and what are the disadvantages. So let's start. So natural language processing, NLP, is an area of computer science basically and artificial intelligence concerned with the interaction between computers as well as with the humans in the natural language. So NLP basically combines computational linguistics, that is basically related to the linguistic science. There we are applying the machine learning algorithms. So rule-based modeling of human languages with statistical, machine learning and deep learning models. So like that it will be combined. The goal of NLP is to help computers understand the language as well as we do. How the human is understanding the different languages and they are just interpreting, translating in their thinking. Likewise, that the computers, how they are going to interact. It is the driving force behind things like virtual assistant, speech recognitions, sentimental analysis, automatic text summarization, machine learning translations, and much more fields. The natural language processing is the intersection of computer science, linguistic science, and machine learning. So basically, when we are going to talk about the proper definition of natural language processing, it is the combination of computer science, linguistic science, and machine learning. The field focus on communication between the computers and humans in natural language. What is natural language? In which humans interact with each other in the different, we can say, zones, right? That there can be cultural differences, but the language that is going to be used by the different people in the world to interact with each other. So that I am going to tell about how the human interact with the machine. NLP is all about making computers understandable and generate human language. Applications of NLP techniques include voice assistant like Amazon's Alexa and Apple's Siri. So these are the widely used, we can say, voice assistants are there. Their NLP techniques has been used. But also things like machine translation and text filtering is also there, where the natural language processing techniques we have applied. Coming to the next section, natural language processing has heavily benefited from recent advances. What are the recent, we can say, researches are there in that machine learning, especially from the deep learning techniques. So deep learning techniques basically will be used to understand a computer by the different algorithm, so that the deeply understand the machine can deeply understand about the different applications and algorithms. So the field is divided into three parts. The first part is speech recognition. In speech recognition, the translation of human language, spoken language, will be just translated into the text. So that is the first field, we can say, that in that natural language processing will be divided. Second field can be natural language understanding. So natural language understanding is basically, it will be actually based on a computer's ability to understand the different natural languages. So that is basically, we can say, there are two types of parts of the NLP. In first, the understanding will be there with the computer system. And the second, it will be generating the different human languages translation. The third part is natural language generation. In that, the generation of natural language, how it will be interpreted by the different computers will be carried out. So basically, these are the important three parts are there of the NLP, in which the NLP has been widely based on. Now I am coming to the components of different components of the NLP. The first, we can say here, the natural language understanding, that is the first component of the important component of the NLP. In natural language understanding, that is NLU, helps the machine to understand and analyze human language by extracting the metadata from the contents, such as from where we are taking those data, such as components, concepts, entities, keywords, emotion, relations, and semantic rules. So these are terms actually coming from the linguistic science. So those all as we are extracting the different parameters from the from the sentences from the different document. So we need to divide into the content, such as there will be concept, there will be entities, there will be keywords, emotions, relations, semantic rules, right? So that divided into that, the machine is going to understand more. NLU mainly used in business applications to understand the customer's need and problems in both spoken and written language. So basically, the NLU will be widely used in the business purposes, in the business applications, and that is going to understand the written as well as the spoken languages. And that is going to translate those things into the text. NLU involves the following task. The first task is, it is used to map the given input into useful representation. So basically, there will be the input, the given input, what are our objective is, that is going to be just interpret and represent those into the useful representations, the first part. The second task can be, it is used to analyze different aspects of the language, such as grammar, we can say any mistake, such as any error. So these all will come into the analyzation part of the NLU, that is going to interpret with the different languages and as well as the grammars. Natural language generation, that can be the second component, second important component. So natural language generation, that is NLG, that acts as a translator basically, and that is going to convert the computerized data into the natural language representation. So that is a primary focus of this NLG, that is natural language generation. First, it is going to convert the computerized data into the natural language, that is a human understandable language, and then it is going to be those in the form of representations. Right? It basically involves text planning, sentence planning, and as well as the textualization. So that is basically, generation is nothing but when we will just interpret the different languages into the different human languages into the natural language, and then it is going to be just we can say go with the advanced versions. So when we need to do planning of the text, we need to do sentence planning, when we need to do the text summarization and realization, in those areas the NLG will be used. Now, how it is actually called as an interdisciplinary field? Actually, the NLP is basically that is actually an interdisciplinary field, variously called as a computer speech and language processing, right? That is basically called as a speech and language processing, because the human language will be just translated here into the natural language, as well as we can also call that natural language processing or computational linguistic science. So computer science and we can say linguistic science with the machine learning and used with the AI is the nothing but the NLP field. Okay, so that is an intersection here. You can see here. So whatever we got from the computer science, what is the foundation of computer science with the linguistic science, it will be used with the machine learning models, and then we will get the different objectives of NLP. Right? The goal of this to get computers to perform useful tasks involving the human language, enabling and improving the human machine translation and communication. So there can be different parts of that. There can be translation, and then it will be communicated where it should be. So basically, the goal of this, we need to understand to the computers how they can understand the human touch, right? In the simple words, we can say NLP is simply doing useful processing of the text as well as with the speech. So this is basically an interdisciplinary field. Turing's game. So this, when it has evolved, but when it has been actually started with the Turing machine. That was the game among the first to consider the computational implications of this intimate connection was Alan Turing. Was one scientist. He was introduced that into 1950s. The Turing actually introduced what has come to known as the Turing test. So somewhere in the artificial intelligence introduction also, we used to see these examples as why? Because AI is the main branch of the machine learning, from where it has been actually started. So the Turing test was used by the Alan Turing in 1950. In that, these techniques has been used. He suggested an empirical test that in which a game the computer is going to use of language would from the basic of determining if it could think. So basically, the computer has been kept like that. It can understand wherever the players are playing the game, and if suppose there is not player, if machine is playing the game. So if the machine could win the game, it would be just intelligent. So the machine cannot understand who is actually playing, if it is player or machine, but on the basis of different we can say game plans, it can be carried out how the player is going to win or not, a machine is going to win or not. So basically in Turing game, there are 3 participants. That is the overall introduction of this Turing game. In that 3 participants were there, 2 people were there and 1 computer were there. Okay, so one of the people were the contestant, and he was going to play, he or she was going to play the role of an interrogator. So interrogator, what the interrogator is doing? The interrogator is deciding to win, must determine which of the other participant is going to win or not. So it is the machine. Suppose if one machine was there, so if the machine is asking a series of questions via a teletype, and the task of the machine is to fool the interrogator into believing it is a person by responding as a person would to the interrogator questions. So the machine was basically typing with the teletype, and the questions were intelligently given back, the answers were given intelligently back to the interrogator. If he cannot, the person cannot actually judge if it is a machine or person. So that was a basically game. That was, they were actually kept into the 3 different rooms, and he were not able to see each other. The only game with the machine and different interrogators and machine and one other person, right, who was the contestant. Clearly, this was a convincing simulation of humanity does not require being an expert in all domains, So there was no interaction of basically everywhere with the humans, so that the machine can intelligently interpret the different tasks. So that was the main objective of this Turing game by the Alan Turing. Okay, so what was the different questions the teletype was asking as to the interrogator? So questions the machine was asking: please write me a sonnet on the topic of the fourth bridge. So the answer the machine was giving actually: count me out on this one. I never could write the poetry. So these all answers actually has been kept with the machine learning models, and then the machine was using those. Again the question was asking: add this 34957 to 70764. So then the machine was giving the answer, pausing for the 30 seconds like human does, and then it was giving the answer as 105621. Okay, so the critical issue for this Turing game was the using the languages. Using the language as human do is sufficient so that the interrogator cannot understand who is typing, who is playing the game, by the itself as an operational test for the intelligence. Okay, so surprisingly, we have seen many of the issues raised by this Turing game actually become the relevant as early as 1966 in the context of ELIZA program came out to just remove those errors. Some of the errors came actually because this was the first interpretation with the we can say machine and human. So in the 1966 the ELIZA program came. So what was the ELIZA program actually? ELIZA program was actually came into the natural language processing system that was capable to carrying on a limited form of conversation with the user, so that the system was interacting with the user as the human does. So basically ELIZA was an early natural language processing system. Okay, so consider the following session with a conversation with a version of ELIZA that imitated the responses of a. So what was actually ELIZA program? ELIZA program was the actually we can say it has removed the different errors of Turing game. That was the game firstly introduced as a natural language program. So ELIZA was basically widely used with the natural language models. So ELIZA was an early natural language processing system that was capable of carrying a limited form of conversation to the different users. We can consider the following session with a version of ELIZA that imitated the responses of a Rosarian psychotherapist. Suppose the first user he was interacting, he was asking a question: you are like my father in some ways. So the ELIZA machine, it was kept as a, we can say, it was kept as a desktop computer at reception, and it was giving the different interpretation. So the ELIZA was giving the interpretation like, what resemblance do you see? Then the user second, if he was asking, you are not very aggressive, but I think you don't want me to notice that. Then ELIZA again was giving the answer, what makes you think I am not aggressive? It was the actually cross questions that ELIZA machine was giving to the different users. If you suppose different other user, third user was asking, you don't argue with me, so the machine was giving the answer, why do you think I don't argue with you? So these were the different models, these were the different inputs has been feed to the machine. If the user 4 was asking, you are afraid of me, ELIZA was giving the fourth answer, does it please you to believe I am afraid of you? So those were the different questions. So ELIZA actually became a remarkably simple program that makes use of pattern matching to process the input. What are the inputs we have seen, the output it was giving, and translating it into the suitable outputs. So the success of this simple technique, why? Because the NLP firstly introduced in this ELIZA system. So simple technique in this domain is due to the fact that ELIZA does not actually need to know anything that is going to actually mimic and translate a Rogerian psychotherapist. So those were the actually interpretations of ELIZA program. ELIZA's deep relevance to Turing ideas is that many people were believing who interacted with ELIZA that it really understand them and just understanding their problems also and interpreting and giving the proper answers with the outputs. So that was the basic interpretations of people actually started to think the ELIZA is understanding their problem as they are just asking them as a we can say as a customer and it as a customer and then patient and that the machine was giving the answers as a physiotherapist. The next we can say application came as a space odyssey that was the actually used as a conversational agent. So it came actually in the 90s in the there was a film that was introduced by the Stanley Kubrick's film Space Odyssey. That was the name of the film, and this one of the most intelligent character was played as a conversational agent in the 20th century cinema. So basically, the HL computer has been used there. That was the artificial intelligence agent that was capable to use such advanced language processing behavior as speaking and as also understanding those different languages, the different natural languages. Suppose this this movie was introduced in the English language, so that was the crucial moment to interpret that English language and how the different actors was actually interacting with the lip movements. The machine was actually reading those lip syncs also. The HL machine was actually reading those lip syncs also. So HL's character, who was Arthur C. Clarke, he actually knew that such an agent would have to capable and interacting with the humans with the help of this natural language that is English here. So which is actually included the understanding the humans via speech recognition as well as with the natural language understanding. In that the machine was actually the agent was actually reading the lip movement of the different actors, right? So end of communicating with humans via natural language generation and speech synthesis was used to do that with the to do the communication to the different persons as a human by the machines. So HCL would also need to be able to do information retrieval in some forms. Why? Because the finding out where the needed text should be actually given. Text should be just interpreted as a human, as an actor. So information extractions were also given, extracting the pertinent facts from the different textual resources and do the same. And in inference, that is nothing but the different rules drawing conclusion based on the known facts that is coming as an input and given as an output. So these were the few interpretations of Odyssey, that was information retrieval, information extraction and inference of those. Okay. So although these problems are far from the completely solved, much of the language related technology HCL needs is currently being developed, with some of it already commercially. So however, it was the first, second or third, we can say interpretation of the natural language processing, but it was came as a successful project and also need to do the advanced things with the. So actually, HL was able to do the information retrieval, information extraction, and giving the inference in the form of output, right? So although some problems were also arise because this was the first conversational agent used as a cinema actor, so it was actually giving the language related some errors. So then it was going to be actually developed and advanced with the different other needs. So HAL needs is currently it is going to be developed, and when it is some of them is already available also commercially. So that was the Space Odyssey conversational agent. So now I will show you the different NLP fields where we are using those. So NLP is basically divided into the two fields, linguistic and computer science. So machine learning is a model actually. So it is basically these two fields will be widely used. The linguistic science side focuses on understanding the structure of language, including the following subfields. So what are the different fields are there in linguistic science? We will see. First is phonetics. So phonetics is nothing but it is the study of sounds of human language. How the different person sounds with each while they're communicating with each other. Phonology. Phonology is a study of the sound system in human languages. Third is morphology. Morphology is nothing but it is the study of formation of different internal structures of the word in the sentences as well as in the paragraph. Next field is syntax. So syntax is nothing but it is a study of formation and internal structure of sentences. How different sentences will be formed with the different grammars. Next is semantics. Semantics is a study of the meaning of sentence. What the sentence is going to give a meaning, a sense. Pragmatics. Pragmatics is the nothing but it is a study of the way different sentences with their semantic meaning will be carried out and will be used for particular communicative goals. So this is called as a pragmatics. Next is discourse. So discourse is the study of linguistic units larger than a little utterance. Utterance, when someone suppose going to say something and they are just giving the different interpretation like like those. So how it will be just interpreted with the different linguistic units and rules, it will be carried out into the discourse. So these were the different segments of the NLP fields and subfields. The computer science side is basically concerned with the translating the linguistic knowledge and domain expertise. So basically the domain expertise with the different we can say subjects, it will be used as into the computer programs with the help of subfields such as artificial intelligence. So in this way, the computer science and linguistic science will be used as a different NLP fields. These are the different applications where the NLP are going to be widely used. The applications we will consider all as those needed for agents like HAL as well as other valuable areas of NLP. Like we can say there that can be spelling correction device, the spelling correction application, grammatical checking correction, information retrieval, machine translation, language translation, speech recognition, sentimental analysis, and text classification, etc. So these are the some application there. The NLP fields have been used widely. What are the different benefits of NLP? The main benefit of NLP is that it is going to improve the way human and computer communicate with each other. And the most direct way to manipulate a computer is through the code, is through the computer languages. So it is the main benefit of natural language processing. Other benefit can also be there like improved accuracy and efficiency of documentation. If suppose some document is there, with the NLP and NLP machine learning models, these errors and some of the corrections will be carried out, and that can be improved as the accuracy, and that is going to give us the different goals with the documentation part also. This also can be benefited as the ability to automatically make a readable summary of a larger, more complex and original text. So these are the benefits, and some other benefits are useful for personal assistant such as Alexa by enabling it to understand spoken words, right? So if the human is something giving the instruction to the Alexa is going to do that. So that is a personal assistant application. The NLP is also going to enable an organization to use the chatbots for the customer support. So nowadays it has been widely used wherever we are going to just open a application as well as the we can say websites of the different organization. The chatbot is going to become as a helping as a customer support, and that is going to interpret the different answers of the customers also. The NLP is going to give the easier performance as a sentimental analysis. That is going to also provide the advanced insights from the analytics that were used previously unreachable due to the data volume. So as we know, the data is huge nowadays in the world, and how to just use it as a information, as a useful information, that is a actually interpretation of the different we can say computer programs, and as well as the different data scientists and data analysts are going to use those different data volumes and going to give you the such goals that is going to give you some objective like analytics. Different other benefits are also there, that is also useful for different disadvantages are there. A list of disadvantages of NLP is those NLP may not show the context. So in which way the actually the word language has been actually kept that cannot differentiate the sense of that. So what is that objective behind that? The context, it cannot sense that some of time. The NLP is unpredictable. So whatever the input we will feed with the machine learning models, it is going to give that actually. So that we cannot predict those. So why? Because this is unpredictable. NLP may require more keystrokes. So the how many inputs we can give, that is going to give you the related objectives. NLP is unable to adopt the new domain as it has a limited functions, and that's why the NLP is built for a single and specific task only. So these are the specific tasks we have new on those areas only. The NLP will be the NLP applications will be actually used. So these were the some advantages in the different fields the NLP has been carried out. So that was all about the today's topic. Thank you for watching.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.